Oh, some biscuits actually.
I'm going to my phone also. Alright, cool. Welcome to the podcast, season 2, and I'm with 2 poets that are kind of like an enigma. Well, Ruth more so, but Federica I know a little bit more better. So we've got Ruth Alora, aka the Mayfair poet, and we've got Federica La Ferrera. La Ferrera, okay, very exotic. And yeah, like I wanted to get them on the podcast because I wanted to get to know them better, but also like they're very talented writers in their own right. So I wanted to kind of ask how you guys both got into poetry, if that's cool. Like whoever wants to go first.
Well, I got into poetry. I guess it started like first falling in love with like song lyrics that are really well written, like Frank Ocean. It was Channel Orange. I was like, this is that album is one of the best albums. Yeah. And I was like decoding his lyrics. And I'm thinking, this is poetry. This is beautiful. And then I started watching spoken word poets from America on YouTube, and that was where I fell in love with the art form. And then it was when I was 18. In uni at the ACS Society's like poetry night that I performed for the first time, and then yeah, that's where I'm on from there.
How about you?
So I started in a very like traditional way. I started to read when I was really young, before going to school. So I started to read at 5 years old, and from the first book that I've ever received, for a long time, books were my gift for all like the holidays and birthdays. And then I went into school and I started to study literature, Italian, French, Spanish, and English, obviously. And I started to get into poetry, the traditional way of poetry. But then, when I started to listen to music more and more, I got interested in music lyrics as well. So when I was learning English in school and I was making up the lyrics from the songs, I was like, no, I wanna sing the right words. So I started to print the lyrics off of some of my favorite songs. And then over time I realized, like, but look, there are some similarities between the traditional poetry and the lyrics of songs, because songs are poems. Many songs are poems. They have a rhyme structure. They have a proper, like, you know, the proper structure of a poem. So I was like, okay. And then from journaling and writing down my thoughts and just doing some free write, some stream of consciousness, then I started to write poems. And I started to perform them in London for the first time.
So do you guys both remember your first poetry event?
Yeah. You mean in London or in life?
You could do both, live and in London. The fact that you've done it outside of London makes it even more cool. Like. Yeah.
Because my uni, I went to Exeter Uni and it was in Cornwall, and that was where I performed for the first time. And it was actually like we were all reading other people's poems. Okay. So I was reading like Walshamshire's poems, and then at the end of it, I was just like, do you guys want me to read one of my poems? I'd never performed anything, and then I performed a poem, and it was just a really beautiful experience. And I was in Cornwall in uni. Yeah.
Okay. So I think the first time I read a poem out loud, it wasn't a poetry event. I was in Spain on a solo trip, and that was my first solo trip apart from moving to UK. The first time I went on holiday by myself. But the first proper poetry event was called Speak Life, and it was at Hayes and Adissa's home. And yeah, that was wicked. It was the first ever, and that's where I met Michelle, Lay, Aisha, all of them, Rihanna.
That's good, because I don't know why, but I always thought like Speakeasy was your first one because I saw you there.
No.
So the fact that it's even like that, because I remember I was always trying to get to that one, but I could never, like it was on a Sunday, so I was like, oh, I'm always doing something on a Sunday, but I really wanted to go.
Speak Life. Speakeasy is one of my first ones, but Speak Life is the first one ever.
Cool, that's crazy. So with both of you now, where do you see yourselves in the poetry scene and or in your poetry careers? Like, are you still kind of like finding your voice and your tone? Are you still trying different things? Like, do you want to take it into an audio project? Do you want to make a book or whatever? Like,
Oh, I love that question. So I'm working on loads of stuff. So I'm working on a book. I'm also working on like audio as well. I work collabing with other poets. You know, Lex.
Elevator Art.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. So he's working on some like music, poetry collabs, and he's hoping to like create an event towards that as well. So I'm supporting him with some of that stuff. And yeah, I think it's just to continue just expanding and growing and putting my stuff out there.
Nice. I think I'm along a similar line. I'm working on a book as well. EP, I never thought about that, but as a technique to memorize my poems, I started to record my voice and listen to it, and I was like, I might actually consider to make something out of this vocal notes, you know, because it's already recorded anyways. Cool. And in regards of like finding my style and my way, I think I kind of have an established style. However, I still want to like progress and change some things. I want to change some themes and some topics I write about. Maybe sometimes even the rhyme structure that I use, and implement the collaboration thing, because we also wrote a few poems together. Oh wow! I also would like to do things with Lex and Elevator Art, because that's where we started.
Yeah, that's where we met. Yeah.
Oh, that was my next question. So, how you guys met? So, you met through Elevator Art, because I've known you individually, separately, but I didn't know because I've never seen you together. I didn't know you knew each other. You knew each other. So, yeah, how was that?
So that was in April, I think, and that. Yeah, and he just randomly puts you in groups of people in the group, and then we all had, and it was RVJ in our group as well, and we had to like do a collab poem. That was my first ever, like, we'd all write our own line, or feeding off each other's lines, and it was so intuitive, and it was so nice. And then, that was the first time I ever done that. Okay. So that's how I met Federica, and we just connected.
Yeah, because that's really cool. So when I wanted to do a podcast with Federica, I was like, gotta have Ruth, and I was like, yeah, okay. Let's do that.
Yeah, I was excited.
And like,
I remember I think I followed you on Instagram, or it was Instagram first, right? Yeah, and then I think I only really saw you in person, not Voices in Power. I think it was like one time before that.
So. Well, maybe it was at Luna.
Maybe Luna Legacy. Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah.
I'm trying to remember.
Yeah, it's so like I even forget how I met like people like Rohan, where I've known him for ages, but I think it's through like an online event. And he kind of just like, you know, in like a Zoom call, you can like message people individually, and he's like, oh, yo, bro, that was sick. And it's like, and then we were friends. Like, you know, it's weird that happens. Like, what is your like most, like in terms of like just starting your poetry career, like what is like one of the most memorable moments or highlights for you guys?
Ooh, I like that question.
The good question.
I feel like I've been going first all the time, so you go first.
Yeah. What's the question?
Poetry highlight.
Poetry highlight. I think it was my first featured performance. My first featured performance was at a poetry event called Spoken Gift in Tottenham, and that was back when I was living in warehouses. And it was magical for me, because it was so random. Like the first time that I went to this event, I just became friends with one of the organizers, and we just vibed, we connected on Insta, and I was like, this is an amazing event, I love it. It's really low key, but at the same time, like, I like the way you give space to poets, I like the way it's organized. And then she was like, oh, maybe you can be next time, and I'm like, are you serious? Okay. So it was weird, because I'm a bit shy sometimes, even if it doesn't always look. It takes time for me to open up. I don't open up immediately. So when you see me comfortable around people, it's because I either know them or I'm in the scene already. But when I introduce myself to something for the first time, I'm like, ooh, this is scary. But the audience was really receptive and very welcoming, and then from there just opportunities kept coming. And Yeah, I think my first featured performance was, I will never forget. I wasn't fully ready, I have to be honest.
I remember mine. I wasn't ready for mine.
I wasn't really ready, but it gave me the push that I needed, because if you wait for the time when you're ready, you will never be.
Ready.
You need to do that thing even if you're not ready there, but then the confidence will build up more and more with time. So.
Yeah, no, mine was when I headlined for Lunar Legacy. Shout out to Selena, we love her.
She's bringing out On the Rise as well, which
exactly.
is a new event.
A new event coming up, so we're gonna check that out. But that was probably the highlight, because it was a time when I am still like working on incorporating music, and I was working with a producer to have some music to play in the background of my set, and it just helped kind of set a mood and atmosphere, and it was, I loved that, and I had, my friends there supporting, and...
So you can sing?
Oh, everyone's...
Because Lunar Legacy is like, it's music and poetry, mostly focused on music, but... Because the way and I think I remember that it was maybe Lunar Legacy that met you, because I was like, oh, this is different, because I thought you were a poet, but you're also a singer. So
yeah, so that's something that I'm working on, like putting my poetry into making songs. I feel like I'm more confident in poetry, I guess because I've been doing that more. But singing is something I'm going to get. Well, I'm actually planning to collab with Millie and try and like
Millie Rose.
Hey, Millie Rose.
I was trying to get her on the podcast today, but she didn't make it. So.
So that's something that I'm working towards.
So in regards to like because you're both different in the way you write your poetry, like how would you like describe your styles? In terms of like some people are kind of like pigeonholed into being like political poets or like love poets, or like I feel like I've recently listened to your poetry at Scratch That, and it's very, very diverse in the range. Yeah. And I remember your Seasons Change poem. From Grooveverse and stuff. And then also I saw a snippet of Voices and Power. So like obviously like they're both different. The catalogue I've seen from both of you is very different from your other poems. So like where do you kind of like classify or describe your poetry?
So in terms of style, again, and lyrical structure, I think my poetry is a mix between the traditional like English poetry, and songs lyrics. But my aim when I write a poem is not necessarily the structure, it's more the message. I care about the structure for a matter of like musicality, memory, and to be more pleasurable. But for me, the theme and the message is more important. However, I do care about the structure too. In terms of the themes, as you said earlier, they're really different. They can be. I never get too political because politics is not really my thing.
I try to keep politics out.
But,
I have a few quite political.
But I do write about society, about the divide between rich and poor, about sustainability and the environment, and then mostly is love, spirituality, nature. These are my three key themes. But I also write about sustainability, technology, divide, rich and poor, and like the earth in general. That's my main thing.
Yeah, amazing. It's funny because when I guess my style of performing is like quite soft and it's quite like smooth.
Just like this.
And that's my style, because I know that some people when they perform they're quite like their style's quite similar to rapping, and but mine is definitely more like traditional in that way, in the way that I perform it. But I guess the subject matter of my poems, I love hearing what people get from when they read my poems, and something that someone recently said is that all your poems are you trying to live your most peaceful life, and I'm like that really sums it up perfectly, so I'm not afraid to like call out other things, so I'm not afraid to shy away from like politics as well, but the majority of my poems are like okay, let me process this experience and how can I find like meaning from it? How can I, create something that, leads me back to somewhere that's peaceful and like good. And so that's kind of what I use my poetry to do, to like kind of transform those maybe negative or confusing emotions into something beautiful. So yeah.
That's so sick.
Alchemy out there.
Yeah, exactly. Alchemy, yeah.
I wanted to say, like, also, like, you've for me, both of you, you've had like some really cool moments. So for you, Scratch That, which I asked you to share your poetry, and then you doing Groove Verse and Voices and Power. Yeah. So I just wanted you to like describe those moments for you.
Ooh, cute.
So I love podcasts outside.
Yeah, in the wild.
Yeah, nature.
Yeah.
First of all, I told you already, but absolutely loved Scratch Night because first of all, it was very spontaneous. It felt like being in the living room with your mates.
Yeah,
it wasn't feeling like, sometimes in poetry events you feel like the pressure because you're performing, you feel like, am I doing well? Am I going to screw up? But in there I was like, I'm with my friends. This is like my chosen family and we're just having a conversation. Yeah. And obviously some of the poems that were never performed before, that were not really ready. And it was nice to receive the feedback, honest feedback from other people. Yeah. So yeah, I think that's why I loved that. And when we started to speak about that,
yeah, there's a beat.
The first time, and I was really excited. I was like, I never done a Scratch Night before, but I'm up for it. So
that's so cool.
Absolutely loved it.
What I loved about it is because I've learned a little bit more about you as a person, as a poet. Like obviously you've travelled a lot. Yeah. You've been around. You said you were in Spain. You've been in the UK, and obviously like you could be anywhere in the world, but you've decided to live in the UK.
For now,
and you even told me that you don't even think in Italian, you think in English, which is really crazy for me. So like, did you want to explain?
Yeah, I can explain that. So I actually started to think in English when I was in Italy as well. Okay. Because I started to study English really young in school. And then I studied languages. So we don't have college in Italy. We have high school and college all at once. Okay. It is called liceo, or scuole superiori, and it lasts 5 years. And you start when you are 14, and it ends when you're normally when you are 18 years old. Okay. And then from 18/19 years old, you start uni. And uni is basically the same. It's 3 years and then two more years. Okay. So you have bachelor's degree and then the PhD, however you want to call it. And all of these years I've studied English, and not only literature but also more complex things like linguistics, interviews, cinema, environment, and I had to do like presentations and dissertations in English. Okay. So I had to like switch my mind to think in English. Okay. And it also started when I was really young, like younger than 10 years old I think, and I wanted to learn English properly outside from school. I started to print out these song lyrics, and then I started to listen to those songs more and try and nail the lyrics. Then I was like, okay, I need to think in English. I need to think about this song as this is my native language, because if I try to translate the words, it's gonna be more complicated. So it's been a really long time, decades, that I think in English and dream in English. Yes. And it depends on the language as well, because when I switch to Spanish, I think I'm more confident with English, but when I switch to Spanish and I speak Spanish, or I write Spanish sometimes, or I read in Spanish, I need to start thinking in that language. That's the secret that I've learned by studying languages. You need to think in that language, even like when you start from the ABC, because if you try to translate things, you're gonna make your life more complicated, and some things they will not be translated exact like Google, like they're not gonna make sense if you translate them in.
That's interesting. Like I know someone in the comments is gonna be like oh, I think the same too. Like I think a different language. And Mayfair, like I was calling you Mayfair now. Mayfair. But your Voices in Power and your Groove Verse, like what was that like? I'm gonna go back to the languages in a second.
Yeah, so yeah, no, Voices and Power is amazing event, and that was, I guess, because that was the launch. So that was the first time.
Yeah, the first time was magic.
Yeah.
I was there as well, yeah. So.
Yeah, so we were all kind of all experiencing it for the first time, and I remember I was one of the first few up, and I was like, okay, great, because like when you're the first up, the first few, you can get it, and then you can just enjoy the rest of the night as well. So I went up there and
I set the bar really high as well.
Oh, thank you. But yeah, no, I knew the poem I was going to do, and I knew it was going to be about like my journey over the past like year, which is like moving from like working full time and doing all the creative stuff part time to like trying to make my creative stuff my main focus, and then move to part time. So it's kind of about that kind of realization that a lot of creatives have to do, and it's like, what am I willing to sacrifice the stability and like what I know of a full-time job to go into the uncertain craziness of like being an artist? And I'm just like, yeah, because that's my calling and that's what I'm supposed to be doing. So that's kind of like, that's kind of what the poem was about. So I was like, I know a lot of people could probably relate, so I thought, let me do this. And that was I loved that night. Yeah.
It was vibes. And Grooveverse, like, that's with music, like, what was that like?
Oh, Grooveverse, so yeah, I was performing with like spontaneous piano in the background. I think that just helps elevate, I don't know, it helps elevate and set an atmosphere that like other poetry nights don't, but not to say that they don't serve a purpose, because I feel like we need to like...
Yeah, there's something for everyone. Every platform is different.
Exactly, yeah, exactly. But I loved being able to hear other people's poems as well, with the piano in the background, because I remember I was literally in tears, and like because of maybe because I could feel it on a different level with the piano and hearing this person speaking it, and so that night was really special, and that's where I met Arnie, who won the...
Oh yeah, he won that night.
He won that night.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
To Arnie. So obviously, going back to languages now, because obviously you're both you both come from different cultures, not from England. Obviously, like I know Federica, you speak Italian, you speak English, and then obviously you're from a Nigerian background. Like how does your language flow into your poems, and or how does your culture like influence your writing as well? I like to bring the hard ones.
No, that's a great question.
So, well, obviously you can hear from the way I speak that I wasn't born here, but I'm happy to know from different sources that you cannot really tell where I'm from my accent. Because again, I have a mix of influences, as I speak Spanish and I speak a little bit of French as well. Some people are confused, they ask me, where are you from? And like, they wouldn't expect me to say I'm from this place. They make assumptions that I'm from other places, and I'm like, okay, I take that. I would.
Yeah, I think you could be Brazilian for that.
Yeah.
Iranian, Brazilian, Indian.
Yeah.
Everywhere, even North African as well.
Yeah.
In terms of the way like my culture influences my poems, again, I think like my poems are a bit different from the rest because I put a lot of passion in it. Like I am from a place that has both the sea and the mountain, and the mountain is not a mountain but it's a volcano. Oh, wow. So there's fire in there. There is fire and water and air. Yes, it's the biggest volcano in Europe. The biggest active.
I've been to that. I've been to Sicily before.
Yeah, I was trying to think of you. Yeah.
We had an eruption also like recently, like lava fall. No, like the.
You can take like boats out to see like lava come down the mountain, the volcano, right?
Yes.
But it's not like it's not classified as an eruption. It's just leaking or something. I don't know. Like, what is that?
No, that's the eruption is. I think it's proper when is a proper explosion. Okay. But then I think that's an eruption as well when the lava. There are two ways where
you can actually see it come down and stuff.
There are two ways it can come down. So it's either slowly, it's like a river of fire, or it can come as an explosion. It depends on what's going on in there. Yeah, sure. So I guess like my culture and the place I was born, it brings out like the wild in me, and this comes up also in the way I live my life, my lifestyle, the way like I come across, and also the fact that I traveled different places, and I will keep doing that. Like, I think I haven't seen enough yet. But I think when you start traveling and then people ask you where you're from, you don't know what to answer anymore. But not because you want to deny your culture, but because you realize that we are all from everywhere. Yeah, we are all like, each culture influences each other in different levels and in different ways.
Yeah.
So I feel like we are more connected than we think, even if we might look different or have a different accent. That's what, for example, comes up in the dance world, because in dance you don't speak, you just dance. And sometimes there are people that don't even speak your language, but you become best friends. Like, that happened to me last year. I met 4 people at a breaking convention, and we immediately connected, and we're still friends after a year, but we live in different parts of the world. One is from Peru, one is from South Africa, one is from Israel, and I'm Italian. So we were going around in London, and everybody was like looking at us like, are you guys from London? It's like, no, we are all from different places. And that's amazing, because art brings people together. Like, it doesn't matter where you're from. Obviously you're born in that place, but still in that place you have influences of other cultures.
Yeah, no, 100%. And like, yeah, because I'm from London, so I mean, like, I'm Nigerian, but I was born and raised here, and yeah, and growing up in London is a very unique experience, because we grow up with every single culture, every single race, and that experience kind of impacts who you are and your identity as well. It makes you realize how big the world is, and how much we're all connected, despite, you know, how different we all look. And it was kind of second nature, that, like, thinking like, oh, you know, someone's from somewhere else, like, it's just interesting to find out where they're from, and realizing that that's not the experience that most people have. Most people have quite homogenous experiences where everyone looks exactly the same, and they have a worldview that matches kind of like
kind of like a bubble, kind of.
A bubble, yeah. So they don't really have an understanding of like other people's culture. So being from London gives me that openness to everyone, and that has encouraged me to, like, you know, to travel as well. And yeah, I think being Nigerian and being English, like being born here in England, it is the influences of both of those things in my poetry, I guess. I mean, I'm quite political, to be fair. I studied politics, and I studied politics, and I care a lot about like social change, and so a lot of my poems will have political elements because of my background being Nigerian, because I have strong opinions about colonialism and the effects of neocolonialism and imperialism and capitalism and all the things, all the isms I have very, very strong opinions about, because I want to be a voice for change, and a voice to, like, you know, people can hear the experiences of these things. So I guess that's why, like, I guess how being Nigerian has influenced me, I think, because I know okay, how the current world order is affecting the global south, and I want that to be changed. I want people to start supporting and, like, you know, changing the way they think about certain things, and I think, yeah, if I wasn't Nigerian, maybe I would have a different point of view.
What's like both of yours, like, inspiration, like whether that be within poetry or outside of poetry, like what inspires you?
Oh, okay. Can I go? Okay, Rumi is my biggest inspiration.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, he's my biggest inspiration, because he's very, like, transcendental and mystical, and I think that's kind of he's a vibe. Put it straight, he's a vibe, vibe. Yeah, like yeah, literally, and like he's speaking to like our spirits and our souls, and I'm like, that's what I want my poetry to be. And then there's other poets like Warshan Shire. She's like a London Somali poet.
Yeah, Karim put me onto her.
Yes.
Yeah, so I need to get her book still, but it's everywhere.
Yes. No, she's a huge inspiration to me, because she's just super vulnerable and raw in her poems, and
her culture's in there as well.
Her culture's so much in there, like in her experience of being part of the diaspora here in London and stuff. Like, and also she's written for Beyonce in Lemonade. She has credits.
How did I not know this?
She's sick, like, so that's kind of like, okay, she's goals to me. And like maybe, and also like Rupi Kaur as well. Yeah, she's really cool.
Nice influences. I take on Rumi, like, as when you're into yoga and meditation and spirituality, like Rumi, either like from the poetry perspective or as a like somebody who speaks about love is just a big milestone. He can take like 3 lines and just say everything in there.
Oh, yeah.
The way he writes is just spotless. And in terms of singers as well, I took inspirations from some singers. One of my main inspirations is Florence Welch from Florence and the Machine.
Yeah, I was just listening to Florence and the Machine the other day.
I went to their concert.
Dog Days.
Oh, yeah, I
Yeah, the Dog Days are over. Awesome track.
It gets you out of your funk a little bit.
Yeah.
It's a bit dancey.
And it's really positive song. It speaks about like getting out of the dark and it's just blooming. And yeah, I went to see them on in London on February. It wasn't planned. So it's one of those times where you're like, actually all the time when you think like, oh, I need to save money, I don't know if I can do this. But then I was like, this is my gift to myself for Valentine's Day. So I'm just gonna go. And it was one, if not because I went to many concerts, but this one was different. One of the best concerts of my whole life. So I was like, yeah, you are one of the reasons why I write poems, and especially poems about love.
I actually think like you can't go wrong spending money on seeing your favorite artist in concert.
Never.
Like,
highly recommend.
I don't think anyone that's ever bought like
Never,
a Rihanna or Beyonce or a Miguel ticket like has regretted it. You know, like it's always just a vibe, and there's something it just nourishes your soul.
Yeah, absolutely.
And stuff. So that's actually really cool. And speaking of nourishing souls and stuff, because you sing, you dance. Like I kind of like when I go into how you got into those passions as well.
Oh wow!
Oh yeah, I was just like, sorry, I'm not. Should I just like?
No, I love that. No, I love that. So I guess singing and music, or I guess in school, I think it was musical theatre to be fair, and I was in choir, and my school was, that's probably when I started really falling in love with music, was being able to perform it and write and. There's something about musical theatre, right? Like the way that
I love it.
Yeah, I think there's the way that they tell stories, and I think that's kind of what got me into poetry and acting. They all have fed in each other, just like that, the desire to like tell stories and like to perform. But in terms of how it nourishes my soul, again, I guess everyone has an experience with how a song has literally gone straight through their heart and been said the words they didn't even know they had, knew that there were words to say. And I think that, my first experience with that, again, Frank Ocean, I'm a big fan.
Yeah, same.
For Channel Orange, his song Lost is just...
Lost!
Or The Pyramid, The Pyramid's mad, but it's just, he just writes songs differently.
No, for real.
You can really
feel Yeah.
You and dance and stuff.
Yeah, I actually dance on Frank Ocean tracks.
Yeah.
It's just, for me, with dance, I really feel it. I feel the rhythm from it. It's the same as poetry. I feel something inside me, so I cannot dance if I don't feel the emotion. That's why I was telling you earlier that I don't really count the steps. I like doing choreography just as for a social aspect, dancing with other dancers and stuff. But I also discovered the joy of freestyling with other dancers in cyphers, or just going to the park with a friend. It's like, oh, let's record ourselves and let's just freestyle. And it works because then we do a little ritual with some Palo Santo and stuff, and our energies start to merge. So even if we freestyle and we have different styles, we kind of start to understand each other. And I actually started dancing again same as writing and reading, really, really young, 6 years old. But it's been more less constant than poetry. I had to leave dance because of school, because of other commitments that I had. So I was away from dance sometimes for over 10 years and then back. And then during those years I was dancing at home or just for fun, but the passion never left me. It's when you don't ride a bike for many years, but you still know how to ride a bike.
Yeah, 100%.
It's the same for me. And then I like to do many other things. I play guitar. I would like to produce. I have a MIDI keyboard at home, so I love the DJ deck. Yesterday I was at a dance event and I stopped. I was looking at that DJ deck and I was like, yeah, that's trippy. I like that stuff.
Would you learn to DJ?
Yeah, I think DJing and music producing are very close, interlinked somehow.
Yeah, a
so
lot of DJs are producers.
And vice versa. So, and I do like singing as well, but I don't know, I wouldn't know how to integrate my poetry to songs, because I mostly sing covers or I just harmonize and just like So yeah, it feels weird for me to sing my own songs. I'm more like into covers for now. But yeah, just like all-round art. I paint sometimes as well. I go to art galleries and art exhibitions. Everything that is art.
I love that too. So like sometimes I actually like going to museums, and most of the museums in London are free. So I'll call like Odd Socks and Shafi, and we spent one day, we went to the Japan House in High Street Kent and the Design Museum all in one day, and it was just a vibe. Yeah, there's something about just as a creative, you have to kind of consume other types of art to fill your well of it.
Yes. Absolutely. I think it starts from there first, and then you get inspired, and then you're like, I can do this, I can do something like that, or it influences your art, and you're like, okay, I can see how I can, see. Yeah.
Is that kind of like your process as well? Like, do you write on your own in solitary, or do you kind of I know you go outside and you kind of like feel nature and you just channel your creativity through the pen. Like, is that similar to your process as well?
Oh no, that's not my process. Yeah. So I guess sometimes I'll write outside, but my process is generally like, I guess with a lot of poets, you have the times where you feel completely inspired and it's coming to you, the words are flowing, and it's like coming from like, another source, right, through you. And there's times where you're like, oh, okay, I'm writing a poem about this, I'm gonna like think, and you're going down. Yeah, so it's like a mixture of both those things. So I try and be more, especially when like writing a book, right, I'm trying to be more intentional about, okay, I'm gonna sit down and write. I know what I want this to be like, so I need to sit down and write and make it, because sometimes it is just like, okay, you have to do the work and write it down, put pen to paper, and not just like, okay, I feel the poem coming through me, I'm gonna write it, it's channeling through me. So I try and have a balance of both of those, and like create some sort of discipline, because when you're creative, when you're freelance, it's like a lot is on you to set personal deadlines. So I'm trying to be like accountable to my goals. I'm like, okay, I want to write a book, but have I written anything in it? So you know what I mean? Yeah. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna sit my ass down.
One of my favorite poets, Aman, he manages to write like 1,000 words a day. He puts on his story. Like, he's a Somali poet. You might have seen him a few times. Yeah, he's writing a book. He sent me it. He emailed me like it's not finished. He just emailed me a few chapters. I haven't got around to reading it, but like he like writes 1,000 words a day, and I'm like, yeah. I mean, even if it's not 1,000, just little by little, that's all you need to do, really. But in terms of like just being creatives and stuff, how do you balance that with work? Because obviously, being an artist, it doesn't, it's not financially secure. Like, how do you manage like working a 9 to 5 or working, self-employed and doing the work that you need to do creatively?
That's a tricky question. Yeah. So 9 to 5 is like, it's not happening, at least for now. But yeah, I guess like the best options are either part-times, so you have an income, and then through your work you got like freelance gigs, or people they pay you when you perform, they pay you for your book, whatever. Or when you have your own business, it's even more complicated, because your business is also an investment. So it's a lot of sacrifices. Like, it's not for the faint-hearted. If you want to be an artist and if you want to be self-employed, you need to be really, what's the name? You need to aim like really high. You need to be very brave, because you don't have like the financial stability. But I think, I believe in, if you believe in yourself, if you believe in what you do, money comes. It doesn't like grow on trees, obviously, but it comes. Like, if you follow what you love, and you do it with passion, and you don't do it just for the money, the money will come anyway, because your work will be recognized. So that's why I believe, like, yes, it's true, a stable job gives you that financial security, but I've met so many people in my life, including like family members and close friends, that are not happy with what they're doing. And they tell me like, look, I'm financially secure, I can even help you, but I'm not happy. They don't have time for their art. Or like some people that they want to quit like their creative career because they don't have time. So I think it's better to yeah, find a balance that is not always easy. But if you really believe in what you're doing and you love it and it's your passion and it fills you up, it fills your soul, it fills your mind, it fills your body, you need to do that and the rest will come.
Sure.
Yeah, 100%.
And
what was the question again?
Trying to find out like a balance between your 9 to 5. Like, how do you do a 9 to 5 and find time for creative work?
Oh, okay, good question. Because I guess it's different for everyone, right? So it's not the answer for everyone to be part-time, right? Or to be freelance, or, you know, because yeah, some other people have certain obligations that they have in their life, and I'm grateful that I'm at a position now where I have a part-time job that I enjoy, which I work in a photography studio now, and like, yeah, so it's like creative environment
for yourself as well.
Exactly, yeah, and it's all aligning now, but it took a lot of work to get there, and like a lot of sacrifice, and a lot of like, it's not for the faint of heart. It takes a lot of bravery, because you know, I remember when
sleepless nights,
stress, you know, being stressed about finances and things like that. I remember when I was
still feeling that now.
Yeah, literally still feeling that. We're in a cost of living crisis. But yeah, I remember when I graduated from uni and I knew that, like, I studied politics, but I knew that I didn't want to get into politics, you know. I was just interested in
you just kind of just went, oh, I'm good at this, so let me just carry on.
President Ruth.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. But Prime Minister. But I was like, but I don't want to be a starving artist. Because I was like, I don't actually know what's the path. Like, okay, I'm a poet, but what does that mean? Like, in terms of a job, because
I feel like it can mean anything you want it to mean, because I feel like, yeah, because I think for me, I didn't think I was gonna do this like properly, but I kind of just let my passion take me, and through that I've done so many things in 3 years since 2020. So I think it is what you make it, but also like you said, you don't do it for money, you kind of do it for the love, and then the money comes later. And I've had to fight, like, it was only until like maybe last year or maybe a year and a half that I started making money from doing videos or headlining or whatever. So it does take time, and I think it's that thing of like, you know, paying your dues, but also by putting yourself out there, you expose yourself to people who then think, oh, okay, I might need them for a show, or I might need them to do this or that on a track or something. So yeah, it's all about just putting yourself out there, to be fair.
Exactly, and I think that's where the bravery comes in, because, you know, not everyone has the like.
That's true. Yeah, not everyone has the financial.
Or just like the courage to put their stuff out there, like the courage to like put their work out and pay their dues, because you know, in the beginning you're putting it out and you're thinking, oh, is there an audience, and then the audience grows, and then you're like, oh, okay, like this is something I should keep doing. So, but you have to like stick it out.
Trust me, yeah, stick it out, definitely stick it out. That would be like one of my advices. Like, actually, that's actually a really cool thing. Actually, what is your advice to people that are, you know, thinking about being a creative? Like, maybe not full time, but just maybe part time for a bit until it becomes a thing and they can go full time. Like, what is your advice for creatives in general?
Okay, so when I first moved to London, I knew I had all of this creativity and creative interests within me, but we are trained like in society that creative jobs don't really take you anywhere. Yeah. So when I first moved to London, my goal initially was to just make a lot of money, work for a corporate job, or like big corporation, and just be successful, whatever, work in an office. And I had no idea I would have gone in this direction. Sometimes I don't even really know how I am in the position where I am. Yeah. I'm glad as well. As we said earlier, it's not an easy journey, but my advice is just like start. We said earlier, when I first did my first featured event, I wasn't really ready. But I'm glad that I did it, because it gave me the push that I needed. So just put yourself out there. And at the beginning, it's gonna be also hard, because you don't know what you're doing. You don't know what if people will like your work, how people will take it. If you will like your own work as well, because sometimes you don't like what you're doing. Like, you don't like how you play guitar, you don't like the poem that you just wrote. So is just be kind to yourself, and keep in mind that it takes a little bit of time. It can take longer or shorter time, but sometimes it happens overnight if you're lucky, who knows. But sometimes it takes a little bit longer, so you need to be patient. You need to know that it's not going to be easy. There will be times where you're not gonna make any art because you're tired, you need some rest, you don't feel inspired, or yeah, there will be also some people telling you like, what are you doing? Like, you cannot live like this, you cannot write this. You might feel like you need to compete with someone, or some people like they feel in competition with you. That for me, art is not the Olympic Games. Like, it's not a competition. Yeah, there are sometimes you win prizes like the Oscars, whatever, like the Grammy Awards. But for me, art is not really for the awards. If you win, like, okay, good, great. I take my win, I take my prize, I'm proud of my work. But it's not because I'm competing with you and like, oh, I'm better than you. No, first of all, we are different, and we can also like interlink our type of art. And secondly, I'm doing this because I have the need to express these things. I know that other people will relate with this art and will be inspired. So I'm doing it sometimes, most times actually, as a selfless act, because the selfish me sometimes it's like, no, this is not good enough. I'm not gonna do this, I'm not gonna write this, I'm not gonna perform this. But if I'm selfless and I say, look, if I perform this, especially if people like it, but I even don't care if they don't like it. But if they like it, they will be asking me questions. And I might be inspiring somebody who is on their journey to start putting the work out there. So yeah, to sum up, all of this is basically just start. Even if you don't feel ready, start small, start big, like whatever you want, but just start making steps.
Yeah, 100%. Yes.
So,
Yes, I guess. Yeah, similarly, I think it starts off with being kind to yourself and believing in yourself. I think you have to look at your art and the thing that you're passionate about doing and being like, you know what, I actually am good, and people do want, like, people should see my work, and you know, everyone has, you know, a place in the art world to, you know, shine, and they should believe in themselves enough to be like, okay, I'm worthy of a place, I'm worthy of a seat at a table, and then to go into the spaces with that kind of confidence of like, okay, this, you know, I'm different to other people, but I've got something going on, and just believing in that and not comparing yourself and not being in competition with anyone, because you've got your own journey. And so like, maybe if you don't create art for like a month or whatever, or you're not, something has come up or whatever, not to like be too hard on yourself, and just trusting that journey, that, you know, if you stick to it and are just committed to it, the years will go by and then you'll see what you've achieved, and you'll look back and be like, wow, like I did that, you know. I did that. And I mean, and there's so much more you can achieve, and when you're passionate about something, it's so worth it. The whole process is so worth it. So yeah, I would just say, yeah, be kind to yourself, believe in yourself, have confidence, because yeah, everyone's got something to share. And
also you have to be the one who likes your work first before other people liking your work, because otherwise you let others decide what you're gonna make. Instead, you have to be the one doing like, I like my work, and this is coming from my heart, from my soul, from experiences. So I like this. And then if people like it, good. But if they don't, like, you're first doing it for yourself. You're putting this out there, and then however it's gonna be taken, it doesn't matter. Some people will like it, some people will not.
So there's something that I kind of live by, which is a quote by Andy Warhol, which is, I'm going to butcher it because it's not going to be verbatim, but
everything is art?
Yeah, no, it's the other one where like, it doesn't matter whether your art is good or not. Basically let them decide, but while they're deciding, make more art. Like, yeah, that's one of my favorite quotes, and it's literally what I do. So I just put stuff out, and it doesn't really matter what people think about it, because I'm already making something else. Like, I've already put that to bed.
You are actually a pretty good example about that, because you are consistently putting out stuff, and like, and you can get in your head about it. Like, I think everyone still can be in their head about what they put out or how it's being received, but it's like, at the end of the day, it should be for you, and reminded yourself that, you know, you're proud of that, and it doesn't, and like, you can't control how other people see your work, and just
And I approach deadlines differently. So basically, yeah, it's good to have a deadline, but don't make that deadline be the be all and end all. Like, because something's going to be ready when nothing's ever going to be ready, and nothing's ever going to be perfect. But if you let that thing grow into itself, it's not going to be like ready by like the end of 2024 or end of 2023. Like, it's going to be ready when it's ready, and I think you'll kind of know when it's ready, when you're scared to put it out, but you know you can't put anything else into it. Yeah, you can't. Yeah, it's just a thing, and you're gonna have to just let it go. And then again, just not caring if people like it or not, but just knowing that you've had it, you've set your mind to something is done, and now you can let it go and work on something else, and that's kind of freeing.
Yeah, 100%. It's like, do you value your art by other people's opinion of it, or like with what you put into it? Because I think it can get easy to, you know, start valuing yourself as an artist by like how other people are responding to you, how many clicks you're getting in the night, or by like, oh, okay, what I've put into this and how like the story I'm telling and like, you know, what all the meaning it has for you. So I guess it's a balance of both, because I guess we all also want to achieve and we also want to like, you know, so I think that's the thing, like how do we
recognized for your artwork?
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of artists out there and in the poetry community that are kind of like are not seen as well, or like feel underappreciated. But really, like, I think if you're writing and you're being true to yourself, like that will come through consistency. If you consistently put stuff out, and you consistently show up for yourself, not for other people, and it doesn't matter if people click. I find that if people are clicking, they're not listening to what you're writing.
That's what I think too.
Yes, come on, come on. Because there's so many times when I've said something so, like, to me is mediocre, I've not even gotten to the line that I think bangs, and then people are like, I'm like, right, you're not even listening to what I'm saying. You just heard a word that triggers like clicks. There's some buzzwords that are like shortcuts to clicks, and like just don't listen to any of that. Just keep writing for your authentic self and your voice, and that should like show eventually. So I wanted to, like, you know, obviously there's so many things that you guys do. Like, is there anything that I've not touched upon that you'd like to bring up on the podcast?
Oh yeah, I haven't mentioned earlier that I don't watch movies that much anymore, but I'm really passionate about cinema as well, like directors and the whole like storyline of the movie, and also like some musicals in the movies. Just like movies are another form of art, and that can inspire anything, because there are movies about dance, there are movies about spoken word, and even if they're not about that, they can inspire your art. They can inspire a painting or like a drawing or whatever. They can inspire a poem, they can inspire a song. And then there are soundtracks as well for certain movies. So I think like movies, theatre, as you mentioned earlier, like musicals, they are those forms of art that can include all forms of art. So they can be movies about everything. There's
like movies that are like okay but have a really good soundtrack.
And
vice versa. So
and they are successful because of the soundtrack and the artists that collaborated with the director. So I think like movies are another. I studied at uni that. Let me see if I remember this quote from something that I studied. I don't remember who is the author of the quote, but it says that movies are factory of dreams and mirror of reality. And I agree, because even like fantasy or dystopic movies, they have some things from like the real world that they integrated, and they also reflect your nightmares or your dreams. So they are a bit of both. I think like it's such a bit underappreciated sometimes form of art, because people also focus more on TV series because they're quick, like you can watch just one episode that is 40 minutes, but like I'm talking about movies that sometimes it's just one movie, sometimes they last a long time, they're like 2 hours and a half, 3 hours movie, but it gives you so many messages that after that you're like, okay.
It incorporates a lot of, it's a medium that incorporates a lot of things like the actors, which are a tool, a direction, also cinematography, editing, screenwriters. There's so many
work behind. And there are also many actors who can sing. Like so many actors are singers, or they're not singers, but they can sing or they can dance. So again, like movies is another.
One of my favorite movies is like Sister Act 2.
Oh, I love that. With all the nuns. Is it because you went to Catholic school?
Funnily enough, no, I'm joking. But like, funnily enough, my primary school, St Edward's in Marylebone, it's actually connected to a convent. So some of the teachers were nuns. So Irish nuns as well. They're probably passed away. Sorry, because they were all like they were all like 90 or something. Yeah, they were like proper traditional like Catholic nuns. And I think it was probably a movie where like just seeing like songs together in a movie was because my other favorite movie is Grease. So.
Oh, you love musicals too.
I was gonna say Grease is my favorite one. Grease and Flashdance.
Okay, I've not seen Flashdance, but they're doing on Paramount Plus. They do Grease: The Rise of the Pink Ladies, which is.
Oh, cute.
But they've cancelled it. But I'm trying to like people are trying to sign petitions to get it back for season 2.
Oh.
But the songs are really good. I might play you some of those songs. Yeah, it's so sick. Movies are sick.
For me, I mean, that goes on nicely into like I'm an actor and like the yes yes. So I'm an actor and my journey with that has been like, okay, my happiest moments and memories in school were like when I was doing musicals, right? But I never thought of that as a career. And then I got into PR, and then I got into working at BAFTA last year, and I knew that like, okay, I want to be an actor. I was after doing spoken word for a long time and like thinking, and people telling me that like, you know, this could be an extension for like acting, you could go into that, or like you know, I do modeling as well, but I think there's a lot in that industry that I'm not like love.
Yeah, I mean with anything it is you have to navigate it because it's got its own things going on.
Exactly.
Yeah. Acting and modeling is very crazy.
Yeah, there's crazy stuff in the industry, but I think with acting, I think at the heart of it, it's about telling stories. And I think, okay, this aligns a lot with like what, you know, my values. And then I did this acting course last year, and then I got an agent, and then now I'm actually part of this competition called Britain's Next Film Superstar.
Come on.
And so the first round we did like an audition. I had to do like a monologue. I did a monologue from Scandal. I don't know if any of you have watched Scandal.
Is that the one with Kerry Washington?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm a big Kerry Washington fan, but I've never watched it.
Oh, you need to. Then you'll love it. You'll love her
but I've
more.
heard of it. And I love Kerry Washington.
I have a crush on Kerry Washington.
No, she's stunning, man.
She's beautiful.
She's absolutely stunning, and she in that character, she's just this powerful like woman in politics doing PR, very relatable to like me. Yeah. No, she's a spin doctor, so I thought like she's so inspiring to me. I want to do a monologue her monologue, and that was the monologue I did in the audition, and it went well. And then that's from that opportunity, that's how I started to like present at the awards shows I've been at recently, and the competition's still going on. So fingers crossed, you know, that I win it, and so and hopefully get to work on bigger projects and play characters like Kerry Washington did in Scandal, like characters that are a bit like subversive, or you don't usually see, you know, black women in media in such powerful positions and
like
presented so well.
Davis in like How to Get Away with Murder and stuff.
Oh, exactly, and I think that's kind of my calling, is to like, okay, I want to make that change. And like, my sister is a screenwriter, so my dream is actually she writes it, so I acted it.
That's actually really cool.
Like,
does your acting skills, like, they're very transferable to stage poetry?
Oh it's made me. It's definitely made me like pushed me to like incorporate how to like bringing those words to life even more on the stage, because you know, not just reading it from the page or like pushing me to memorize it, you know, and like actually give all of myself to the performance.
I've heard some actors find it hard to like share poetry then to share a monologue. Is that true?
Oh yeah, because in the monologue you're someone else, and you feel like that the judgment is on how you're portraying someone else. But like when it's a poem, it's like people are seeing how that relates to you and who you are as a person, and it's like, oh my gosh, do I want to let these people in? You know, like
yeah, it's like I'm guarded. Don't look at me.
Yeah, literally.
That's actually amazing. Yeah, because I was talking to like Louise Hip and Jodie and other actors. There's a lot of poets that are actors, and they've said the same thing. Even Bethany as well. So it's actually, even singers like Millie Rose has said like she finds it hard sharing a poem than singing a song. Like it's more vulnerable. And from that perspective, like it makes me feel like poets are even more braver than I previously thought. Also, I just wanted to say, like, in terms of like how your journey has been, like, do you look back and you like think, "Rah, I did that"? Like, I mean, I said that you've got highlights and stuff, but like, do you realize how far you've come? Like, both of you, like, from and I've been there from literally not from the beginning, but like pretty much near the beginning. Like when I saw you at Scratch That and then Lunar Legacy, like, not Scratch That, Speakeasy. My bad. But like, that feels like that was like more than a year ago, right? So like, you guys have come a long way, and I'm very proud that to have been a part of it. So like, yeah, do you recognize that in yourselves? Like you both have come really far?
Yeah. Sometimes I stop. I have a gratitude app on my phone. I'm not advertising it, but I just want to tell you, like, disclaimer, just keep this gratitude, either it's an app or a journal, whatever, and write things down, because I have this perfectionism thing in me that sometimes stops me or tells me, like, you haven't done enough, you need to do more and more and more. And sometimes I stop, I think and look back, and I'm like, rah, look how far I've come. Like, when I was a child, if you gave me like some time machine or something, or like if you asked me, where do you see yourself in 15 years? I wouldn't have said that I see myself where I am now. But now that I'm in here, and I feel like relatively comfortable in myself, in what I do and who I am, even if the journey is not easy, I just want to pat myself in the back sometimes, you know, because we don't do that. We always are very tough, especially us artists, creatives. We are so tough on ourselves. But yeah, looking back, I definitely think I've come a very long way, especially for my, I mean, age is just a number, but especially for my age. And I still think there is a lot more to come. So yeah, I'm proud of me. We should all be proud of us.
Yeah, no, 100%. I'm definitely proud, especially over the last year. And I think from the beginning, if we all look back on our journey from like when we first wrote our first poem, you know, to where we are now, I guess.
How do I write a poem?
Right. Like, did we even think we'd be sharing it? Did we even think we'd be headlining or featuring? You know, like that. I think it's great. It's great to be grateful, because I definitely can get into the thing of like, okay, what's next? Because it's good to, you know, stay motivated. But it's like, I look back last year, like I was in a job where I was like hated, you know, and I was like trying to figure out how I can get into the creative world. And now I'm like, okay, now I'm in a job that I like, and I've got I've got an agent, I've got these things, and I'm like, okay, you know what? I am grateful, but I can't lie, I definitely do. I'm like, okay, but what next? I could do more. I could do more.
Ambitious and grateful. You need to balance these two things, I think, because when you're ambitious, you're always like looking for I'm similar. You're always looking for the next thing. I can do more. I can be more. What's next? What next? But sometimes it's good to like just look how far you come. As you said, it's just like, recognize that.
So I want to close out the podcast. Before I do, I kind of had this section, and I know I always forget to bring it back into a podcast, but basically is there something you'd like to share with the audience in terms of like something that they should check out, whether that be a song, a film, a book, or something else?
Ooh, like a recommendation.
Yeah, recommendation, yeah.
Well, as songs and artists, apart from Florence, I forgot to add some more people earlier. Emily Sandé is really underrated artist. She's absolutely amazing. She has an amazing voice.
Underrated as well.
She's really underrated, and her lyrics, her songs are powerful. Like, they really touch my soul. They're really, just a powerful woman. And then I mean, she's obviously really famous, but who doesn't know her or her poems? Maya Angelou. Go and check that out immediately. And then who else? Frank Ocean, obviously. Who doesn't?
Frank Ocean's getting a plug today. His streams are going to go up.
Pay us for advertisement, Exactly. And as books, I read so much, so many books, but I think one of the most important books that I read so far is The Roads Less Traveled by Francis Scott Peck, I think. It's just the title is The Road Less Traveled, and is a book I really recommend. It has something to do with creativity as well, but it's more like self-help, spiritual and introspective book. It's gonna help you to like unlock some things. It's gonna tell you like it takes time and patience and discipline to achieve certain things and to become a certain type of person. So yeah, definitely self-help books and poetry books, and check these artists, please, because
okay, I guess FKA Twigs. She is an amazing artist, and I've seen her live, and she the way that she incorporates dance, because she started off as a dancer, and she always is pushing herself and how she can tell.
Her videos are good. I remember one video she did with, I think, Heady One. It was like maybe 2 years ago, and it was like, yeah, it was kind of sick. But yeah, carry on. So,
yeah, no, her videos are actually insane. Like that's what made me realize, okay, she thinks differently. Like I love like people who are a bit alternative and a bit like.
Yeah, I like alternative.
Yeah, because I'm like, okay, they're trying to think like, how can I be different? How can I, you know, be like unique and show myself. Like, so FK Twigs is definitely someone who makes great music, great visuals. Frank Ocean, obviously Channel Orange is the album. He's got great lots of other albums, but Channel Orange is a masterpiece. And also, I mean, I love like UK artists. So there's one called Shy Girl. She's not very known.
Oh wait, is she a rapper?
She's kind of like a singer rapper. Yeah.
I follow her. Yeah.
Yeah. So check her out, because she's gonna pop. I know she's gonna pop off. And books, I guess. One book I've read recently that I've literally reread. It's called Daisy Jones and the Six, and it's.
Oh, that sounds familiar.
Yeah, it's by Taylor Jenkins Reid, and it's basically about, imagine like LA, but like in the like 70s and 80s, and like this band that's coming together, and it's like all about like what this band going. It just inspired me as an artist, because it talks about the writing process, and it talks about like being in the industry, and like, you know, but it's all this fictional story and all the drama or whatever. So I guess it's like, as a creative, it inspires you to be like, how can I be like, you know, expressing myself so authentically and vulnerably in my work, but at the same time being successful in the industry. So Daisy Jones and the Six.
Cool. Shall I add stuff? Okay.
Yes. Add some Rex.
Okay, cool. I think I've done this in other episodes, but I'm gonna say Quadrant, Avalanche album is really cool. They've got like one track with Kendrick, and one of their songs was sampled by Drake for Lemon Pepper Freestyle. But they've got this like interesting sound. It's not like, you know, it's not mainstream. It's very like loungy. Yeah, I might play one song. Yeah. And then books. My friend Haroon is dropping Press Play. He's got a book launch in September, so this might be already out. So go read that. Go buy that. Support your poets.
Support your poets.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And
I think it's the 9th of September.
Yeah, 9th
I actually met him yesterday at the dance cypher. I was like,
oh, that was at the dance cypher.
Nice.
Yes.
Did he dance?
No.
Okay.
But there were DJs in there as well. There were like 4 or 5 DJs who swapped around.
Right.
And when I saw him, I was like, oh.
I'm surprised you've not met him before, because obviously he DJs for most poetry events, like Lunar he did Lunar Legacy before. BYB, obviously. Have you been to BYB?
I've never been to BYOB, I've never been to Group Verse, never been to Voices in Power, so I want to check all of them out. But mostly Group Verse and Voices in Power are like the ones that I really would love to go.
You'll love Group Verse. And then what else? Movies.
Yeah, maybe.
I'm really bad with movies because...
they clone Tyrone.
Oh, I need to watch that. It's with the guy from Star Wars.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Instead of a movie, I'm going to add another musician, Q. I think you need to listen to Q. Have you listened to Q? No. Like, he's got a song, he's got a new album, but his old album was like, his singles from that album were like in movies on Netflix and stuff. But yeah, him, Q, so Q, Dejon, and Quadrant. Those are the 3 artists I'm going to plug for now. So yeah, because I'm more of a music guy than a movie guy. And that's it really. But yeah, thank you guys for coming. And yeah, plug yourselves, let them know where they can find you. And I'll put it in the bottom of the screen.
Okay, so I'm on Instagram. I changed my name because people were misspelling my surname. They still do, but they were misspelling my surname. So it's Federica _LA _Ferrera, FERRERA. And I also have a yoga page because yoga teacher and stuff, and it's called Feds Yoga. And yeah, I'm on LinkedIn as well if you want to hire me and stuff. Yeah, that's it really. And in real life, like, you can catch me.
Catch her outside.
Catch me in the woods. Catch me at like every artistic poetry event, dance events, in the streets, in ciphers, in the streets, in ciphers, in art galleries, because I'm a bit of both worlds. In art galleries, in art exhibitions, all creative stuff.
Yeah, love that, love that. Yeah, you can find me at the Mayfair Poet on Instagram for my poetry stuff, and then at Ruth Allura with 2 A's, Ruth Allura with 2 A's at the end, for just like life and my modelling stuff there. And then TikTok is at Ruth Allura, so E-L-O-R-A, and then at the Mayfair Poet at TikTok. I'm going to start using my TikTok more. That is a platform I actually really do like.
I need to do that as well.
Yeah, no, especially for the podcast. It's great.
Really I don't know, maybe it's me. But
I'm just like, I just got so used to doing Instagram that TikTok is like, I have to learn another thing.
Exactly.
Because I've gotten so good at Instagram, but like, I have to get good at TikTok again now.
Yeah, but yeah, that's where you can find me, and at Poetry Nights. Exactly. Yeah.
Catch both of them at Poetry Nights. Probably headlining at a Poetry Night near you.
I'm also on YouTube. I forgot.
Oh yeah, plug your YouTube.
I got a YouTube channel. Yeah, so if you go on my Instagram, there is a link tree with all of my links, my YouTube, some websites I collaborated with my poetry, like Breadfruit magazine and some other poems that I wrote. And yeah, YouTube. TikTok not yet, but we will see. I don't know. In real life.
And for me, you can catch me at the Metaphorest, the metaphor with a PH, EST at the end, all one word, on Instagram and YouTube. On my link tree, you can find links to my YouTube and my other poetry pages. I've got the Metaforecast with an F-O, R-E-C-A-S-T, and Poetry and Shibs, and Window to the Spirits, which will be at the bottom. I do a lot of things, and yeah, I might even make a separate page for Scratch That, but yeah, just check all of that for anything that I'm doing. You'll find me anywhere there's poetry. And that's it, guys. We're gonna go eat some food and enjoy the sun. Yay, and maybe even listen to some songs. So thank you guys so much, and peace out.
Peace out.
Bye.
Bye. Sick.
Yay! One question I want to ask you.
Yeah, go for it.
Where did the Metaphorest come from?
Oh, the Metaphorest. So
I was thinking the same. Yeah.
I was literally like